Hi there, Year 6 mathematicians, and here we are for today's maths, a continuation of the geometry we've been working on. After setting up your page, and I do recommend using your maths book, please. One, we can then have the books back in school when we're all back together, and that will form the basis of your maths portfolio. Secondly, for geometry, including the translations we're going to do today, squared paper is definitely the way to go. So let's get ready. A review yesterday, 4 quadrants, and the day before, the first quadrant. So memories back to that. If you want to pause and review your work in your book, you can. Otherwise, let's go. Pause the video, look through each of the 4 questions in turn and answer them. It's really useful to you to provide some reasoning or some explanation so that in the future, when looking back at this, reviewing your work, it will jog your memory as to what you needed to do, what mathematical skills were needed. So the coordinate here of A, so which of the quadrants is that in? Remember, this was the first quadrant, and we go counterclockwise. This is a continuation of the y-axis here. This is a continuation of the x-axis along here. B, 3, 5. It's in the first quadrant. It's in brackets 3. That's coming off the x-axis. So we're going up here. You want to use a ruler. 5. There we go. There's the 5. 3, 3, 5. X, Y. X comes before Y. The x-axis goes across, and X is across. Question 2. What the coordinate? Which quadrant's that going to be in? Because the y-axis this time we've got a negative coordinate. So is that here? There's the 0. Poppy was telling me that the 0 is in each of the 4 quadrants. I think she's right. Do you? So the last question, which quadrants are the points in? Okay, let's do some exploring together before you do some independent work. Do make a note of these questions, pause when you need to, work through them, explain your reasoning, and do self-check, self-assess as you go through. And if you've made an error, the beauty is you can take the video back, have another look, pause, have a think, get some help, work with your study group. Let's go. So this time we have a plotted coordinate here. What's the coordinates of that? And then it moved. And it's moving again. Let's go back. Describe the movement. across. Which direction though? Across to the right or left? Have a look. It's the right. What happens next? Another movement. This time it was up. Okay, so now we're saying a little bit more precisely what the movement was. 4 right. 4 what? 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's the point. So if we were going to describe the up, how many? 1, 2. 2 up. The point has been translated. What does translated mean? What's happened to that point? Well, it's moved, and you're saying how it's moved. There's the point. What's the coordinates? Up here, 4, 7. Now we have a movement. 1, 2, 3. What was the direction? Left or right? We've got another movement. This time it's down. How many down? Pause the video. Describe the translation. How many right and how many down? What's the starting coordinate? And what's the end point coordinate? Three right, 3 down. Can you describe the translations? Stop the video and have a think. So A to B, so that's the movement from here to here. That's that question. This question is the movement from there to there. So it's not the movement all the way from A. It's just from here to here. This one, B to A. That looks a little bit like the reverse of that one. Have a go, and I'd really like you also to plot the points A and B. So this one is 3, 7, and B is 8, 6, and then describe the movement. Now it's translating a shape, a two-dimensional shape, and you're being asked to translate or move it 1 left and 5 down. So far everything we know about translation has been moving in this horizontal, maybe call that the X, moving along the X-axis, and up and down along the Y-axis. I haven't seen anything that describes the translation as a change of orientation. So therefore I'm thinking that this is this side and this side are the two longer lengths. They're 3 squares, and these the 2 shorter lengths. So I'm thinking that once I translate this, the orientation is going to remain the same, but the position would have changed. So let's take this vertex here, coordinates 2, 6, and plot the other coordinates on each of the vertices. Okay, so that vertex, the one that was plotted first, has now moved. It's been translated. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to extend the rectangle and change the overall dimensions of the rectangle. We still want it to be a 3 square by 2 square rectangle. Okay. So there were two movements. There's the left and then there's the down. So you could do that in two parts. What I suggest is you draw that out, draw that initial rectangle out, and then move it. So let's just go back there. So that would be a sort of interim or mid movement, and then eventually we want it to go there. So what we need to be practicing is moving it from here to here. Now I think what I would do is I'm just going to miss out that interim movement for now. I'm going to go, so I'm thinking, and you can do this obviously with a ruler. I'm thinking that the rectangle probably looks something like that, and therefore if that's correct, then that wasn't particularly helpful. It's the pen. One would be here, one would be here, and one would be here. Okay. I'm going to erase all the ink now. Okay. Back. That's our start point. Interim movement, mid movement, translation, translation. So each of these points is what's going to happen to the next point. One left, 5 down. One left, 5 down. So what is the translation of triangle A to triangle B? Have a think. Oh, hello, here's our little friend. I think I've got this one. Translate the shape A, triangle, 3 left, 7 down. Have a little look. Gone in one go. Good thing for me is that where I left my marker is where that vertex is. Is that right? Okay, checkpoint. If you need to go back over any of that, the beauty is watching the movement and having in your mind that the translation is a movement. And we've got this XY movement. So we've got movement left and right and up and down. And then as illustrated by that last example, just being careful when you move it, which vertex did you move? So you could plot one vertex, then move it, and then recreate the shape. The orientation of the shape doesn't change, and the size of the shape isn't changing. Triangle in position A is being translated to position B. True or false? Why is it true? Why is it false? If you're not sure yet, then that probably is going to indicate that you might A, benefit from rewatching the video, and B, starting on step 1. Have a go at this. So it's false. The translation moves the shape to the left, right, up or down, but it does not change the orientation of the shape. And I think I'm also noticing that it's not changing the dimensions, the size of the shape, which seems to be particularly important because then you can plot that one vertex. If you want to plot all of them, and it will depend on which shape you're doing, that's fine. One vertex often could be enough. So have a go at questions 1 to 3 on the worksheet and pause here because these can be step 1 questions today. The questions and the marking station are on Dojo and you can have a look at those. It's really important to self-assess yourself after each step, making sure that you're confident before moving on. So if you're thinking that you're going to move immediately beyond step 1, or you have rejoined after doing step 1, let's do some more practice. So this shape is translated. What does translated mean? Say to yourself, maybe do a definition in your book, talk to your study group. The coordinates of the new shape are. So in this case, what would you do? So we have 2, 2, 5, 2, 5, 4. So the shape, we'd expect it to be still a triangle, a right angled triangle. Still be expecting it to have this orientation. Have a go. So now you've plotted the shape. What was the movement? Describe the movement in terms of the up, down, left or right movement. So there are the 3 coordinates for the 3 vertices and the new shape plotted. So what stayed the same and what's changed? If you've been listening, I'm fairly sure I've said this several times. What stayed the same about the shape? What's changed about the position? So have a think. So this time you're going to need to plot the original shape and the new shape, and then have a think about describing the translation. Okay, so if you need to watch those again, have another go, please do. If you're continuing here after step 1, try any other question, one question as a minimum. Of course, you can always exceed the minimum, and practice is definitely a good thing. It does make progress. If you're pausing here after trying the explores and you're just beginning here, then complete the questions. So just to remind you that step 1 was question 1 to 3, so you're doing the remainder of the questions. So good luck with that. Translation. Oh, you still here? You want some more? Well, I found this question. This is from an assessment paper. Hopefully you can read this, but in some ways, if you can't, it won't stop you having a go at these 2 questions. So here is a shape on a grid. The shape is translated so that the point moves to 8, 5. Draw the shape in its new place. So in this one, you're drawing it. It'd be really great to describe the translation. Here, similar shape, different end coordinate points. Describe the translation. Okay, so I hope this is going well for you, and that's the end of the maths lesson today. Brilliant stuff. Been very impressed, Year 6, with how you're doing. This is the 3rd in a sequence of 4, and then on Friday you've got your Under the Sea theme day instead. Take care.